Alright, today we are going to graph lines in point slope. So we have only in standard and slope intercept. So what happens in this one, you get your date, your title, your target, and your page number down. And if you haven't noticed, at the beginning of almost all of those, you've had a pretest. So this pretest question is I would answer it. So the first thing is strategies and determine importance. So what matters the most about this problem? What will I need to know in order to solve it? What is that know? Do you know this that you're given, or what do you know about the graphs that are there by looking at them? And you know something based on the other forms you've already done. The thing I want you to do is usually questions specifically would you need answers. So for example, could I try doing this? Would doing this such thing work? So give yourself that when you ask, this confuses me, what's hard? So specifically, you could ask that if you had them answered, you could possibly answer this question. Then I want you to use all of those strategies and make an educated guess on which one you would pick on your test if this was a test question that you were given. Alright, so now I'm going to teach you how to do it. So if you're given point slope form, you should already have this. But if I was given point slope form, it's the same steps as slope intercept form. I'm going to plot the first point. See, in slope intercept form, the first point that I was given was actually the y-intercept. So I would plot a point, and then from there, I would move my slope. So like up 1, right 5, or whatever the slope is. And then I would draw my line between those points. The difference is that in slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b, I'm given the slope and a specific point. I'm given where it crosses the y-axis. But we had to come up with a new point, a new method, a different method. A different method for what happens when I go to plot my y-intercept, and let's say it was actually crossing the y-axis at like 1.5. Okay, so my y-intercept, or my initial value, was 1.5, and so to graph that would be pretty difficult, because from there, like if I moved up 1, right 5, people don't want to graph that. You want to graph it where it's at a nice, pretty whole number spot on the graph. So we need another method. So we have another way of writing the form, and it is in point slope form. So for this, you can actually use any point. So this x1, y1 is any point on the graph. So this is the point x1, y1. So that means it could start like way over here. It doesn't have to start on your y-axis. And then I'm just going to move my slope. Like whatever my slope is, m, my rise over run, that's how far I'm going to move between my points. And then I can see where it crosses the y-axis. And if it crosses the y-axis at a fraction, that's not a big deal. So we're going to do the first example. So the first example, if I pulled out my point, my ordered pair, my x1, y1. See, x1 sits behind the minus sign behind the x value. So this is x1. It's actually a positive 3. So that's my x value, x1, y1, and this is going to be my starting point. My y value, if you notice, sits behind the minus sign next to the y. So this is y minus positive 2, which makes my y value a positive 2. So that's going to be my starting point that I plot. So I'm going to go over here to the graph, and I'm going to go right 3, up 2, and plot my first point. That's my starting point again. And then from there, just like in slope intercept form, I'm going to move my slope. But that slope's not written as a fraction, so to turn that into a fraction, negative 2 over 1, because that's the same thing. Negative 2 divided by 1 is the whole number negative 2. And so from there, I'm going to draw my line and graph my slope. So from there, I would go down 2, right 1. And you only have to make one point, but I like to make lots of points so that my lines are straight. The more points I make, the more straight my lines are, because I am not the best drawer. So I'm going to draw the line now between the points. And that is that linear equation. That's the graph of that. Okay. So, example 2. My starting point is right here behind the minus sign. My x value, my x1, is right behind the minus sign with the x's. So the x value of my starting point is negative 2. The y value is behind the minus sign of the y. But that's not a minus. I could rewrite this to be the same thing if this was minus negative 4, because minus negative 4 is the same as plus positive 4. So in order to make that point slope form, it would have to be minus negative 4, which means this y value of my ordered pair is negative 4, because it would be my y minus y1, and in order to make that plus 4, minus negative would make that a plus 4. So it's actually the opposite, but that's why. It's the opposite of whatever this is. So if this is x minus 2, I would use positive 2. If this is x plus 4, I would use a negative 4. So again, that's my starting point. I'm going to plot that point, negative 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my starting point, and then I'm going to move my slope, and my slope is right here, which is negative 3 over 4. So from there, because it's negative, I'm going to go down 3 and right 4. So I'm going to go down 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4, and that. I could also do the opposite, up 3 and left 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are the points that I'm going to use to draw my straight line. And we're going to practice that more tomorrow.